All right.
Come on, Twitch. Let's see. All right,
There we
looks
go.
good.
I actually like my setup. Like, it looks a lot better than my previous one.
Yeah, you actually look like you're a professional, like radio guy or something.
I'm trying.
God, why is my mouse bouncing all over the place? I've got to do. I got to do some cleanup on this computer this weekend. I got to do something. It's getting really bad.
Yeah, I got to do that eventually. I started, well, I'll talk about it a little bit when we officially start, but I have started working on like the poster and everything for the Parker syndrome.
Oh, that's cool.
It's just the high res photos that I took for some reason don't want to open in Photoshop
Uh, okay.
because I took them in. So I have a JPEG version, and then I basically shot it in RAW format.
Yeah.
For some reason, Photoshop does not like that,
I don't know. I've never heard of that before.
even though that's like the higher quality version of the. Like, I can open it up in preview, and it clearly, looks way better than the JPEG version.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I can't open it in Photoshop.
Huh. It's weird.
So I'll have to figure that out. And then I finally listened to the score. But I'll talk about all that stuff in the. I'll say I liked two of the three tracks.
Okay. I wish I could hear them. You should send them to me.
I should
All right.
get your musician's opinion.
Hell yeah. Let me just make sure all the volumes are good. All right, that's good. That's good. All right. Well, we're good to go if you are.
Yep.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Do you like the show and you want to help support us? Do you want us to stay ad-free? Do you want extra episodes every month? Of course you do. Well, then head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro and become a Patreon supporter of this very show. Greetings, programs, and welcome back to another edition of the Nerd Cave Retro Show. And I will turn down the music as soon as the soundboard will let me. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
And of course, I'm having some problems again. I need to do some serious cleanup on this computer this weekend because it is not acting well right now. So sorry about that. And hopefully next week I will have everything smoothed out again like it used to be.
Well, sometimes a computer just needs a good old-fashioned cleanup.
It does. And this one seriously needs it because it is not acting well lately.
Yeah, mine's kind of doing the same. I've got to do that. I might actually do that tomorrow because I've been in. Well, I went to leadership training as part of my job today, and I'm doing the same thing tomorrow. But the good thing about that is we get out at like 3:00, so we're done for the day at 3, which is nice.
Cool.
So I get to actually, I'll come home early and get to do a couple of things before new homestand starts on Thursday and runs through Monday.
Cool.
So it won't affect the show next week, but the week after it will start too. But we'll figure that out when it gets a little bit closer.
Yeah, if we can't get a show then after next week, then we may just take a week off to kind of recharge. And because it is summertime, and it's we deserve a break too. People, don't quit yelling. Don't at me, bro.
I think Will Smith wrote a song about that once.
Exactly.
About summertime.
So tell me, we had our Derek Diamond Experience, Parker Syndrome cast and crew that we did this last weekend, which was awesome. So tell everyone all about everything going on in the land of the Parker Syndrome.
So yeah, as you mentioned, we did the podcast, which was actually the season finale of the Derek Diamond Experience. Did a full, Facebook Live version, and shout out to my friend Zach Dykes, former Nerd Cave podcast co-host, came over and ran all the AV stuff so I could sit on the panel and not have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, thank you to Julio Diaz for coming over to be the special guest host. So again, I wouldn't be the pretentious asshole talking about my own products on my own show. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. There was, the entire cast, and then you and Bill Lyons, who both ran sound, just
Mm-hmm.
kind of sat around and talked about our time making the movie. And it was a lot of fun. It was cool hearing everyone's input on it
Mm-hmm.
because, like, I didn't really know too much about the cast, thoughts on why they took their roles and why they wanted to be involved with it. So that was kind of cool to hear. Like, I had no idea what they were going to say before we actually did the podcast, and I kind of wanted it that way. I wanted to just, sit back and kind of find out what Julio was going to ask, along with everyone else.
Yeah, it was a lot of
But
fun. I had a good time.
yeah, you can go on the Derek Diamond Experience Facebook page right now and watch the video version. But then the audio version will be up this Thursday, and that will be the last episode of that podcast that I do until probably mid-September at the absolute earliest. Just
Yeah.
because, with this baseball schedule this season has actually been a bit lighter than usual, but over the next 2 weeks it does start to pick up. We have a 10-game stretch at the end of May, and then I think we have another one at the end of June. So with all that going on, and then trying to get the last little bit of the movie done,
Yeah.
I just figured, take the summer off of doing the podcast so I don't have to worry too much about it. But once baseball season's completely over, I will be back talking with hopefully more current and aspiring filmmakers. So
Absolutely.
stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. Hopefully, the Parker Syndrome will be done. I'm shooting for early June, so that way I can do. I want to do, and I talked about this on the podcast, but I want to do a premiere here in town for it, and then start submitting it to festivals. So
Yeah.
I would say absolute latest June, sometime in June, the movie will be finished. There's a little bit left to be done with it. Got the first draft of the score over the weekend. I started working on the poster today. So I'm hoping that I can spend most of next week getting as much done as possible. So that way, once that 10-game stretch hits, I'll have most of it done.
Well, you're right on time too to start submitting to festivals because all the festivals start to kick off in the fall. So you're at the good time to start submitting. You're not going to hit a lot of the late fees that we ran into with Monsters Anonymous because we came out later in the year and the festival season was already going on. So you've got a leg up on that. So you'll be spending way less money than we did to submit to festivals.
Cool. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the final product done. I know, and what was cool is after we did the podcast, a few of us actually did some audio commentaries
Yeah.
for the Blu-ray, which was a lot of fun. I'm a geek when it comes to that kind of stuff, so
Yeah.
it was cool. So, yeah, fun stuff going on.
And like I said, we may take, not next week, but the week after, we may take that off. But I think over the summer, what we're probably going to have to do is a lot like last year. We probably won't hit the live show as often as we'd like, but we might have to actually do some bank shows where we record like 2 or 3 in a row and just kind of sparse them out over a few weeks because there's going to be times where I've got some out of town trips that I'm planning coming up in early July. So so for those of you that like to watch us on Twitch or on YouTube, we do apologize because we won't. Some of the shows over the summer we have to skip from doing live, and but we'll have banked episodes that you'll be able to listen to each week on the podcast feed. So don't you worry about that.
Yeah, we've got a couple of options. So, like I said, we'll still be doing the show on a fairly regular basis. It just
yeah.
with the video version, it probably won't be as much.
But I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get into the news tonight. What do you say?
Sure.
On NintendoLife.com, Soko Banana is a brand new game being developed for the NES. Yes, the actual NES. Almost every day we see waves of online users replying to game reveals with something along the lines of, yeah, but is it coming to Switch? Desperate for another game on their platform of choice. Isn't it about time we started asking new questions instead of simply port begging for more games on Nintendo's newest machine? How about, yeah, but is it coming to the NES instead? Much better. I love that. I love that paragraph. That's right. Soko Banana is a new game currently in development for the trusty NES. The game is a puzzler said to bring hours of fun and challenge as you make your way through dozens of levels. You visit banana warehouses on different islands, aiming to get all the banana crates to the exit using the environment to your advantage. Traps and enemies are also there to hinder your progress. Its features are, it's a brand new game for the NES, playable on real hardware, fun and challenging gameplay mechanics, 4 different islands. Each one will have its own distinct feel with unique graphics, music, and environments. 10 regular and 2 bonus levels for each island for a total of 48 plus levels and a bonus island. The team behind the game are generating funds on Kickstarter, aiming to make around £4,000. Anyone backing 24 pounds or higher will receive a physical NES cartridge with tiers below that getting a digital copy instead. It's already generated more than half of its total with more than 20 days to go. So if you're interested, just head over to the Kickstarter page, which you can find the link here on the NintendoLife.com page, the article, and this looks really cool. I would love to get a copy of this.
Yeah, I actually watched the video on this, and it looks like a lot of fun.
It's so cool they're making an actual NES game that's playable on the NES. Like that makes me giddy.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I think that NES console might be going places.
I think it is. It's been around a while. Nobody really bought it back in the day, but now it's kind of coming into its own.
Dare I say this might be the comeback of the year?
Yeah.
No, in all seriousness, I would love to at least get a digital copy of this because, like I said, I watched the trailer for it, and it looks like one of those games that we've been talking about the last few weeks on this show. That those that it doesn't take like a ton of thought to do.
Yeah.
You just kind of sit, and they're good games to spend 20 to 30 minutes playing.
Yeah.
Because it looks like a really fun puzzle game, and it looks like it belongs right on the NES. And actually, it looks really good for being on the NES. So
Yeah.
I'd love to, like I said, at least, I don't have a physical NES, but I would love to at least get a digital copy of it to play it. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd love to just have the physical copy of it just to have it.
Oh, for sure. No, and it's got its own box, and it's on, one of the old school NES cartridges. So,
Yeah. All right, you're starting to get
that
chunky again, so I'm going to pause the podcast real quick. Let's do a little pause here. We'll be right back. And I am going to leave the call and then call you right back.
All right.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Much better.
Okay, cool.
All right, you're no longer chunky. Chunky boy. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. And we're back, and Derek is no longer chunky.
Yeah, I did a quick jog around my house. So
Eat a salad, son.
it's funny, I actually did have a salad for dinner.
Oh yeah. I'm excited about this next article. So I'm gonna let you handle this one.
I figured you would be. So this also comes to us from NintendoLife.com. Arcade Archive's Ninja Gaiden sneaks onto the Nintendo Switch. This was reported last week, so it's actually on the Switch now.
Mm-hmm.
Hamster has revealed the next game in its ever-growing arcade archive series on the Switch, and this time we're being treated to Ninja Gaiden. Released in Japanese arcades back in 1989, Ninja Gaiden is a side-scrolling beat-em-up which actually first arrived in North America and Europe just months before. It's worth noting that this isn't the same game as the one which appeared on the NES, despite both titles being developed at around the same time. And as I said, the game is on the Nintendo Switch now for $7.99.
Which ain't bad. And it is a lot different than the actual NES version, but I do remember playing this in the arcades back in the day, so I really want to get a copy of this and play it and just kind of see what the differences are, because this one's just straight up beat 'em up like Double Dragon or Final Fight. It's nothing like the hack and slash that Ninja Gaiden was for the NES.
Yeah. Now, I've read a little bit about the differences between the two, and as someone who still has yet to play Ninja Gaiden, this would be I think this would be fun to do.
It's my white whale.
It is. I still say one day you're going to beat this game and you're going to text me at like 11:30 at night with all caps and a ton of emojis. I did it, and I'm going to know. Like, you're not going to tell me what you've done, but I'm going to know it.
Oh, you'll know it, and I'll probably be like 65 by the time it happens.
Hopefully, we're still doing the show at that point.
And then we can do an emergency Nerd Cave podcast, and I can tell people that I finally beat it after like 50 years. I finally beat it.
And I'll still be bitching about the Sonic trailer.
And our last story for the night. This is actually, I put this on here. It's not the American version of the Genesis Mini, but I figure it's probably going to be close enough that a lot of these games are going to be the same. But from Siliconera.com, the next 10 Japanese Sega Genesis mini games will be announced on May 16th, 2019. Sega Genesis Mini will have 40 games available on it, as Sega has gradually been announcing new titles included on the device. Now we know when the Japanese version's next 10 game will be announced. Titles 21 through 30 will be revealed at 8:15 p.m. Like 7:15 a.m. Central Time on May 16th, 2019. They will be announced during the Dengekai PlayStation Live presentation. And as a reminder, the games on the Japanese version of the system, which is called the Mega Drive Mini, will be different than the ones appearing on the plug-and-play device outside of Japan, where it is called the Genesis Mini. So far, 20 have been revealed. The first batch was announced in March, and the second group was shown off in April. Here's a list of the 20 so far. I'm not going to name them all, but I mean, we talked about it before. But of course, Castlevania Bloodlines is on there, Comic Zone, Shining Force, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Space Harrier 2, Streets of Rage 2, Thunder Force 3, World of Illusion is going to be on there. A lot of good games are going to be on this thing, so I think it's going to be well worth the money once it comes out.
So whenever I say this, I'm not trying to say that I don't care about the rest of the games that are going to be announced, but I'm saying that they've already sold me on this. Mm-hmm. So to me, whatever they add is just added value. I'm going to get the Genesis Mini. I think it's actually going to be really cool. And as we mentioned before, I think the only Genesis games that have been reviewed on this show is the Sonic games that I've done.
Yeah.
So it'll be cool to actually review some Genesis games.
Oh, I know. And we're going to have 40 games on this system. So why would you... I think this thing's going to do gangbusters, honestly. I think it's going to do as well as probably the NES Mini, at least.
I think so, too. Because you had a lot of people who love the Genesis. Mm-hmm. I remember back in the day, Genesis versus the Super Nintendo was a legitimate battle.
Well, even just the regular Nintendo. I mean, you remember the Genesis came out in like 87, 88, I think 87. And it went head to head with the NES for, a good 3 or 4 years before the Super Nintendo came out. So, it was direct competition with 2 different NES consoles and still held its own.
You're right, because Super Nintendo was released in 91, and that was the same year that Sonic came out. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of not the rebirth, but that added that little extra something to Sega, because then they had their Mario.
Yeah, they finally had their mascot, because before that, the pack-in game was what was it? What was the pack-in game before that?
Stand by.
I don't remember now. Somebody screaming at their listening device right now, screaming at us. It was this. Let's see.
Sega Genesis pack-in game. I just got a list of all the pack-in games in history.
Oh.
Sega. Let's see. There's Master System. There's Sega CD. Oh, here we are. Genesis. Altered Beast.
Altered Beast. That was it. God, why couldn't I think of that?
Yeah, because that was one of the games that I wanted to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was for 89 to 91. It was Altered Beast. Then it was the original Sonic the Hedgehog.
Rise from your grave.
Exactly.
But yeah, man. I'm excited about this, man. Like I'm gonna be there day one to pick one up.
Oh, for sure. And I think I hope they do pre-orders for it, because I feel like you might have to.
As a matter of fact, can you pre-order? I think you can pre-order it on Amazon right now. Didn't we actually talk about that before? Amazon.com. Let me look up Genesis Mini real quick, just for research purposes. Let's see, Sega. Let's see. You can pre-order right now for $79.99.
I'm gonna have to do that before September.
Pre-order price guarantee, $79.99. Free delivery for Prime members.
Did you hear they're doing free one-day shipping now?
Really?
Because Walmart's about to try and compete with it.
Oh, yeah. Well, good for the consumer.
Yeah. One-day free shipping is just like...
Oh, yeah.
That was something you dreamed about back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Remember when we ordered stuff through the mail and it would take 6 to 8 weeks?
Oh, yeah. I remember ordering stuff from Nintendo Power, because every quarter they would have like a little catalog.
Yep.
Where you could get like a Mario hat, or you could get like a pair of socks. And it would take you 2 months to get it.
Did you ever, when you were a kid, would you save up your UPC symbols for like cereal or Campbell's soup or things like that? You could send off your UPC codes for something cool. And cause I remember I sent off and got I saved all my UPC symbols from buying Star Wars figures, and saved up so many of them to get the Emperor. And had to mail order for the Emperor, but send off so many UPC symbols. Did you ever do anything like that when you were a kid?
I remember doing it for cereal, I think maybe once, but I primarily did it with Nintendo Power, because you had to, before you could order stuff online, you had to save a certain number of stamps.
Yeah.
And you had to mail an envelope with the stamps in it, and then you would get your item.
Yeah.
I remember one of my favorite things as a kid was I got a Mario hat, and it was literally just a red hat with the M on it. But I wore the hell out of that thing.
You know, the thing is like for all the cereal boxes and stuff, is like save your UPC symbols, proofs of purchase, and send in 10, UPC codes for whatever prize it was. And it's like you had to do it by a certain date. I'm like, how am I going to eat 10 boxes of cereal in like a month? Like, I don't know about your parents, but my parents wouldn't buy me cereal all that often. Like, it was a treat to get a good box of cereal,
I would get a box of cereal, but I would have to finish it before I could get another one.
Yeah, same for me.
Now, have you heard of the restaurant called BJ's?
Is it a pizza restaurant?
It has pizza, but it's like it's called BJ's Brew House. They have a variety of like pizza. They have like sandwiches, burgers, really anything you want. So they have this thing called a pizookie. It's basically like a large cookie that they bring to you in a tin with a scoop of ice cream on it.
Mm-hmm.
They have a cinnamon toast crunch Pizookie.
Oh,
It's a giant sugar cookie with vanilla ice cream and covered with cinnamon toast crunch, and it
oh
is
my
one of the
God.
greatest things I have eaten in the last like 5 years.
Oh, I had a friend of mine had sent me some pictures. She went to Florida for the weekend. Went to Orlando, and she ate Voodoo Donuts and sent me a picture. And I was
Oh,
like, and she sent me a picture of the menu, and they have like Captain Crunchberry donuts. I'm like,
dude,
why
I
do
had
I
voodoo
want
donuts when I
them?
was out in Los Angeles. So freaking good.
All we have here, well, we have a couple of good donut shops here. We have one that's Tata Nut, which is actually one of the like best donuts you can get like in the South. And then we have, of course, we have Krispy Kreme, but we don't really have anywhere that does anything like interesting with donuts, like like puts toppings on them and stuff like that, like weird cereal toppings and things like that. So I would love to try out Voodoo Donuts.
We have a place called Maynard's Donuts that does that. They have a fruity pebble donut. That's pretty good. But for the most part, we have excuse me, just Dunkin' Donuts and Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts is everywhere. Yeah, I've
Yeah, they're
never been a
taking over.
fan of Dunkin' Donuts. I like their coffee, but I'm not a
Same.
fan of their donuts.
I prefer Dunkin' Donuts coffee to Krispy Kreme's, but I much prefer Krispy Kreme's donuts.
Yeah. Oh, well, next time you come in town, I got to take you to Tata Nut. But the bad thing is, you got to get there at like 7 in the morning, or you're not getting any donuts because everybody literally lines up at like 6:30 in the morning to get donuts, and then they're out of donuts by like 9 o'clock.
That's awesome.
It's
That's how a
crazy.
donut shop should be.
Yeah, and then you'll go in at like try to you sleep in a little bit. You're like, I'm gonna go get a donut. You walk in there, and it's like nothing but like one lone bear claw like up in the corner. That's like the one nasty looking bear claw that nobody wanted.
Never been a bear claw guy.
Yeah, me neither.
I've never had one that I like. Just strictly like a donut type
Yeah,
of
me
person.
too. I like a good just regular donut and a chocolate covered donut. Like those are my two favorites.
Mine are just your standard glazed and then the Bavarian cream filled
Oh
with
yeah, I
chocolate
love
on top.
Bavarian
Those are so
cream.
freaking good. I remember when I was in high school I had one of those for the first time and it changed my life.
Damn it, I'm gonna ruin my diet tonight because as soon as we're done here, there's a Krispy Kreme literally less than a mile from my house. This is not good. We should stop talking about donuts right now.
Yeah, that also reminds me I've got a story to tell you, but I'll tell it off air because I know
Okay.
we're rambling quite a bit.
I don't know how we got on the topic of donuts, but let's go into this month in video game history. In May of 1982, Atari releases Yar's Revenge, which is arguably, one of the probably three best games for the Atari 2600, I would say.
So what happened to Yars that he needed to take revenge on people?
I'm not sure. But I know that the actual word Yars is it was named after his boss Ray. He just flipped it around and said Yar's Revenge because he thought it sounded cool. I'm actually trying to look up any. Yeah, final game story involves mutated houseflies defending their world against an alien attacker. Warshaw, who made the game, liked secret messages and hidden ideas and thus inverted the name of Ray Kassar, then CEO of Atari, to become the titular Yar race and its planet Razak.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah.
I like that.
And this game actually had an Easter egg, one of the earliest Easter eggs in it, too.
I remember us talking about this game last year because I recognized the cover art with the giant fly on it.
Yeah, and I feel sorry for this guy, too, Warshaw. What's his first name? Howard Scott Warshaw. He made arguably one of the best Atari games with Yar's Revenge, and then effectively made the worst Atari game when he single-handedly made the ET game.
Oh no.
But honestly, it really wasn't his fault because he had only been given 5 weeks to make the ET game so that they could make the holiday release. And the
Are you
poor guy
serious?
made the best game he could. And I mean, could you make a game in 5 weeks by yourself?
I couldn't make a game in 5 months with a
Yeah.
group of people, much less 5 weeks with myself.
So that's like his claim to fame. He made probably the best game for the Atari and the worst. So that's his claim to fame.
I wonder if there's a documentary made about this guy, and if not, there
Uh,
should be.
no, but I remember seeing there is a document. I think actually it's in that ET documentary. If
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not mistaken, it might be either be in that or it's in one of those video game documentaries on Amazon Prime. I remember seeing about the story behind this guy, and he was talking about that how he went from making the best game to the worst game.
Talk about a fall from grace.
Yeah, poor guy.
On May 27th, 1986, Enix releases Dragon Quest for the Famicom, which is usually considered the foremost Japanese role-playing video game and is the first game in a series that has been phenomenally successful in Japan.
And when it came to America, it was published what like 3 or 4 years later. Yeah, because it came out in Japan in '86, but it came out as Dragon Quest in North America in '89. So, and I remember I got a copy of this game. It came free if you renewed your subscription to Nintendo Power, and it came with strategy guide as well, which I know I have somewhere at my mom's house. I just need to find it. I've been wanting to really dive into this game and give it a good review, and I've tried to start it a couple of times, but it's rough, man. Like I just, it's so hard to get into an RPG like this that is everything has to be like you walk up to somebody and you actually have to like go into the menu to talk to someone, or you have to go into a menu to basically do everything. Like walk downstairs or open a chest, or like you have to open a menu to do any kind of action, and it's hard to do.
Funny story about this game. Last time I was in Price Busters, this had to have been at least 2 or 3 months ago. There was an in-box copy of this game.
Really?
I don't remember how much it was, but I vaguely remembered us talking about it and was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." But
Yeah.
I never looked at a price or anything.
Yeah,
I
because
doubt it's still there. I very highly doubt it's still there because inbox games usually don't last very long there.
yeah,
But it was still pretty cool to see.
because I was always a fan of the action RPGs, like Legend of Zelda, games of Star Tropics, games of that nature. So when I got my copy of Dragon Warrior in the mail, I was really excited to play it. But it's an RPG ass RPG, and I remember being a kid going, "Ugh, this is hard to get into, man," because it's not fast paced at all. Like you have to have a lot of patience to get into this game.
Yeah, I'm kind of that way with RPGs right now in general, just because I don't really have the time. Whenever baseball's over, I'd love to dive into a couple of the RPGs that I've got on my list of stuff to review.
Yeah,
But right now I don't have the time. Like I want to play Soul Blazer for Super Nintendo because I've heard it's similar to Illusion of Gaia.
yeah.
So I really want to get into that. That will probably be one of my two like big RPG games that I get into.
Well, I'm definitely going to get into Knights of the Old Republic 2 and have that ready for December when Star Wars comes out. So I'm going to start on that here in the next couple of weeks so I can have a couple of months just to kind of casually go through it, because I did play both Knights of the Old Republic games and they're great, but I want to kind of go through it slowly to kind of refresh my memory of the game.
Yeah. I'll have to think of a Star Wars game too.
Weren't you going to do the first one? The Knights of
Oh
the Old
yeah,
Republic
that's right.
first
We
one?
were going to tag team it.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome.
And that will be the other RPG that I play in the fall.
Yes. Also on May 6th of 1986, Infocom releases the highly regarded Trinity. Let's take a look at what Trinity is. an interactive fiction computer game published in '86. It is widely regarded as one of the company's best works. It was included as one of the titles in the 2010 book 1001 Video Games You Must Play Before You Die. Wow.
Wow. I actually like the art to this game.
Yeah, it looks kind of cool.
It's very simple, but I like it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's see. I was trying to look up gameplay for it, but it doesn't really have anything as far as gameplay.
I'm reading a little bit about it. The plot sounds pretty interesting. But let's see. It was available on Amiga, Apple II, Atari, Commodore, MS-DOS, and Macintosh. So not a console game.
No.
Interesting.
I wonder if it's on Steam. I have to look it up.
On May 6, 1991, Sierra Online releases the Sierra Network, which is also credited as the first graphical MMORPG due to its inclusion of the Shadow of Cerebus. TSN would later become its more memorable name, Imagination Network, after a total buyout from AT&T in 1994.
Wow. I do remember us talking about this last year because we talk a lot about Sierra games. Sierra was one of those companies that just put out like 2 or 3 games a year throughout the 80s and 90s. They were cranking out computer games back then.
Yeah, I recognize the logo, and I do remember us talking about it quite a bit.
And also to round us out for this month in video game history, on May 4th, 1996, Kirby's Black Ball, published by Nintendo and developed by HAL Laboratories, is an action video game, a spin-off from the Kirby series for the Game Boy Portable console. It is a breakout clone. The player controls paddles along the screen's edge to knock a bouncing ball Kirby into destructible bricks. The game's 55 levels include power-ups, bonus rounds, and mini-games. Did you ever play Kirby's Black Ball?
I did not. I do remember hearing about it, though, and I remember seeing it in stores. Nintendo, for Game Boy, they would do these types of games with their characters, because I remember they did a Pokemon pinball game during the peak of Pokemon popularity, when there had to be several games a year, it seemed like.
Yeah.
But, it looks and sounds like a lot of fun. It was just one that, I played Kirby's Dream Land, and that was kind of as far as I went with my Kirby experience. But it looks like a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, I always like
it was also on the 3DS as well. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I always like a good Breakout clone. Like, I always thought Breakout's one of those really simple gameplay mechanics, but it kind of like sucks you in, and you can play it for hours. Like, it's just one of those great time waster kind of games.
Yeah.
But tonight I'm going to be talking about kind of a turd. So here we go. Oh boy.
I didn't hate that music.
The music's okay. I mean, that's the thing about the game, is the music's actually kind of good, but it just doesn't fit the game. It's weird. Boy.
But what game are you referring to?
It's The Incredible Hulk from 1994 for the Super Nintendo. It was also released on the Sega Genesis, the Master System, and the Game Gear, all in the same year. The player controls the Incredible Hulk while searching for the leader. 5 levels await, ranging from city skyscrapers to alien landscapes. The Marvel Comics villains featured as the 5 levels' respective bosses are the Abomination, the Rhino, Absorbing Man, Tyrannus, and the Leader. And this game is an abomination, if you will mind the pun. Good lord, this game is bad.
you use a pun, you got to own it.
So here's the thing: the game looks good, it sounds good. I mean, the Hulk looks good. The rest of the game is kind of boring looking. Like the level design is, it's very much reminds me of the Ninja Turtles, like the sewer levels on the Ninja Turtles. That's what it reminds me of a lot. So it doesn't really take advantage of the graphical upgrades on the Super Nintendo like other games do. It's you have one attack. Well, I take that back. You can punch, you can uppercut, and you can grab people and do kind of a pile driver, and that's about it. And you can jump kind of high. Not that high, but you can jump kind of high. And here's my biggest problem with these games, especially like even today, a lot of superhero games. My problem with superhero games is I want to play a superhero game. I want to feel powerful. If I want to play the Hulk, and I had the same problem with the Death and Return of Superman. I didn't feel like Superman in that game. I felt like a weak little bitch. And in this game, I wanted to be the Hulk. I want to smash things. I want to destroy everything in sight. But I felt like a little green bitch in the game.
Well, I don't think it's too much to ask to do like what the actual character is supposed to do.
And here's the thing: is like throughout the game, you collect all these different pills, different colored pills. They do different things. Like you can get one pill that turns you back into Bruce Banner, because there are certain areas in the game where you actually can turn into Bruce Banner and get through little tight spaces that the Hulk can't get through. But the problem is, once you turn into Bruce Banner, you can't turn back into the Hulk unless you're hit or punched or shot. You can turn back into the Hulk. So when you turn into Bruce Banner, you're basically just vulnerable. Like there's nothing you can do. Like you can go into these tight spaces, you get like you can. So if you're lucky, sometimes you'll pick up like a pistol, but it only has like 2 shots, and it doesn't do anything to anybody, because even as the Hulk, it takes you like 10 hits to kill even the lowliest of minions. It's ridiculous. Like, like, why does it, like, just these random robots that like run around the level that, you know, because the enemy designs are not that creative. It's like each level kind of has these different bad guys, but like the first level is like robots, and they all look the same, and it takes like 10 hits to kill one robot. Like, you're the freaking Hulk. Why does it take 10 hits to kill the lowliest minion? And the whole time you're getting shot and punched, and the hit detection on this game is absolutely awful. Like, it took me so long to get through just the first boss. Like, the first boss is just ridiculous, like, because the Hulk is so underpowered. And I got so frustrated, and I just didn't even want to keep playing this game. Like, it's that level of frustration where you're just like, I just don't even want to play this. Like, it sucks.
So I had 2 signs that this game was not that great. Well, one of them confirmed it. But when I opened up the Wikipedia page earlier, when I was going over like the news articles and everything, and I saw how short the Wikipedia page was, so I was like, that's probably not a good sign.
Yeah.
And then watched a little bit of gameplay on YouTube, and from what I saw, I would echo your sentiments that, you know, the game looks like a lot of games from that, you know, early to mid 90s era of Super Nintendo, but it doesn't look that exciting.
It's not.
And with the Hulk, you should just be able to wreck things. Like, even turning into Bruce Banner, you should just be able to go through the wall, or tight spaces, and just create a hole for yourself. Like, that's, if I were playing a Hulk game, I would want to do nothing more than just destroy shit.
And like the only things you can, like, environmentally that you can destroy, like every once in a while you'll come across a wall you can smash through, or, you know, a phone booth. But even then, it just doesn't feel very satisfying, you know?
If they wanted to do something cool, they should have put Superman in a phone booth.
Yeah, that and
As a
have the
little
Hulk
cross-promo
smash it.
cameo.
That'd be awesome. But that, do you get what I'm saying? Like when
Yeah.
I know they have this tendency to with superhero games, they don't want to make you too overpowered, so they kind of overcompensate and make you severely underpowered, and it just frustrates me. Like one of the only few, really the only couple of superhero games that I really like are Batman Returns for the SNES, and of course the Batman Arkham games for like the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 4. Like I actually feel powerful in those games. Like they could have at least, I was thinking like basically what they did with Batman Returns for the Super Nintendo was basically just reskinned Final Fight. That's all they did. I mean, it was this nice big sprites, kind of the same moves, same fighting, same, bad guys with just a different coat of paint on them. And it was a fun game because you know what? Final Fight is a fun beat 'em up game. You feel powerful when you play Final Fight because you can take out like 10 dudes at once. They should have just done that with the Hulk. They could have just reskinned Final Fight, taken the Hager character, the big Mayor Hager, and just painted him green. And you could have had the Hulk. And that could have been your Hulk game. And I would have been totally happy with that because then I would have actually felt like the Hulk. It's pretty sad when Hager from Final Fight feels more like the Hulk than the Hulk does in his own damn game.
It just kind of goes back to the sentiment that back then a lot of the like adapted video games when it comes to like superhero properties, a lot of them were not that good.
No.
And it kind of sucks that this is, because I never played this game growing up, but that's kind of a shame because, like I said, when you think of Hulk, you think of just mindlessly wrecking stuff.
Yeah.
You don't really want that much strategy with it. I would like to think that if there were a modern day Hulk game that it would be like that, but it just sounds like one of those typical, games that were made back then to cash on the name.
Yeah, and that's
not a
all
lot of
it
thought put
was.
into it.
And it's just like I said, it's so bland. Like this is the most vanilla beat 'em up I've ever played, and it's just way too hard. Way harder than it needs to be. And not hard like challenging hard. It's hard because the controls aren't good and like the hit detection is awful. And he only has like one punch, and that's it. In an uppercut, and that's that real, and it doesn't even really do anything. Like I don't know. I don't recommend this game at all. Like I hated every second of playing this game. I picked it up at a flea market a while back for really cheap, and I thought it just looked cool. And I remember seeing this game back in the day, but I never gave it much thought. So I was like, oh, this is cool. Pick up this game. It might be fun to play. Nope, it's not.
Sounds like the best part of this game was when you turn the console off.
Yep, it was. And I can honestly say I'm never going to play this game again. Ever.
That's kind of when we do these reviews, not all of them are going to be like a Link to the Past masterpiece.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna play some shit. And this sounds like one of it.
Is it as bad as Fester's Quest? Maybe not. But it's still down there in the muck, in the sewer water with Fester's Quest.
Oh man. Fester's Quest. Still top 5 show for me.
I think I might go back and re-listen to that episode this week.
Had I known what was going to happen, I would have made popcorn before the podcast, and I would have just muted my mic and just popping popcorn.
In my defense, I didn't know I was getting sick until after the show was over, and then I realized, like, I'm running a fever and I feel awful. Maybe that's why I was went off.
Fever-induced rant.
Yeah,
they're the best.
So if anybody wants to listen to that was a pretty early show for us, but definitely one of the best.
We're coming up on the 3-year anniversary of this show.
Really?
Yeah, it
Wow.
started. I want to say it started in July of 2016.
I
It
think so, yeah.
was June or July.
Well, happy
So
birthday.
yeah,
Oh,
we'll
and
have.
well,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
we'll definitely have to do a 3-year anniversary episode.
Can we have cake?
Yeah, let's have cake. Let's get some donuts. We'll have donuts on the air.
Uh, there we go.
We'll eat donuts and we'll have a party. And if you out there
Sweet.
listening, you want to join us on Twitch that night, we'll do it sometime in July, and we'll have a donut party here on Twitch.
That sounds great.
And one of the
We,
things I
we won't even
did,
review a game. We'll just eat
yeah,
donuts.
we'll just eat donuts and we'll take calls. We'll do
Yeah,
some
there we
calls.
go.
But one of the things I did want to mention about this game, I did look at some of the gameplay for the Sega Genesis version, and it's roughly the same game, but it looks like it plays a lot faster, and the controls are better. So, the hit detection's a little bit better. I would like to try it out on the Genesis to see if it's any better, but it looks basically like the same game, just faster. But that was one of my biggest problems with this game is it is so slow. Like, it's ridiculously slow, this game.
That's a shame.
But it's got cool
It
cover
really
art,
is a
though.
shame.
It's got cool box art. So that's got it. It's what it's got going for it.
Yeah, I mean, the game looks pretty good. I mean, it looks exactly like a game that would be from its time.
Yeah, it is. Eh.
That's
So
a shame.
I give it out of 10. I mean, this one gets a 4. And that's just because it's got cool cover art for it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a comic book cover.
Yeah, so if you want to get it, if you come across a copy and you're like, oh, they want like $2 for this and it's in good shape, I'd go ahead and get it. I wouldn't spend more than like $3 or $4 for it. So
Yeah.
take that for what it's worth.
Well, like I said, not every game we review is going to be a masterpiece.
Yeah, well, that was my review of The Incredible Hulk for the Super Nintendo, the 1994 disaster piece, The Abomination that was The Incredible Hulk.
I get that reference.
So, Mr. Derek, what would you like to depart with the good people before we get out of here tonight?
So I'll go ahead and reveal what I'm going to review next week, which will be a much better game than the Incredible Hulk. I'm going to be
I
reviewing
hope so.
I'm going to be reviewing a Game Boy game. One of my personal favorites, Super Mario Land 2, one of the most underrated Mario games ever made.
Yes.
And I'm going to explain why next week.
Let's get back to a good game next week.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to review that.
anything else before we go? Before we say goodbye to the good people?
No, just like I said at the beginning of the show, if you want to check out the video version of the Parker Syndrome podcast we did as part of the Derek Diamond Experience, you can go to facebook.com/DDiamondPodcast. Or if you want to wait for the traditional audio version, that will be available this Thursday, and that will be the last show I do for that podcast until September.
Fantastic. And as usual, you can follow me over at Twitter at JFunktastic. And if you haven't done it yet, go watch Monsters Anonymous on Amazon Prime. And if you do that, leave us a review over there on Amazon Prime. We are rocking a 5-star review on Amazon Prime right now. So
That's awesome.
We are doing well. I'm still waiting for the 1-star review where somebody poo-poos it, but hasn't happened yet. We're still up there at 5 stars. So if you haven't seen it yet, go look up Monsters Anonymous on Amazon Prime. Watch it. Leave us a review. Even if you hate it, leave us a review. I like to hear feedback. I don't care if it's good or bad. I just like feedback.
Absolutely.
So let's go ahead and get out of here. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Let me make sure the music's here. All right, there we go. Yes, it worked. If you would like to email us, you can email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. We are at nerdcaveretro.com. We are on Instagram and Twitter at nerdcaveretro, at jfunktastic, and at Derek_Diamond. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdcaveretro. We're on Patreon at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. Go over there and throw us $1 a month. If enough of you do that, you'll get us back up to the $50 level, where we will do extra episodes every month. We're like the commentary track we did a couple of weeks ago of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. That was fun. We want to do that more. So get us back up there. Go leave us $1. And if you can't do that, then just leave us a review wherever you listen to us. And that'll get us in front of more people and make the show overall better. So Derek, please tell everyone what it's all about.
Wow.
Sorry, I just had to throw in that new little music at the end.
No, I liked it.
I went and captured a bunch of new music the other night. I was bored. I was on YouTube looking up all kind of different sound clips that I could get. I got the Sonic All Clear. See, what else did I get? Oh, I got this too for whenever we're doing like an article or somebody says something wrong. I got this.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
10 points if you can tell
great.
me what that's from.
It sounds very familiar. What's it from?
One of my favorite TV shows of all time.
I'm going to feel like an idiot when you tell me.
Starts with an S.
Shoot, I know it. It's like right on the tip of my tongue.
You want me to tell you?
I have no idea.
Scrubs. Scrubs.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is from Scrubs.
Dr. Cox. I want to capture a bunch of his stuff because he always says funny shit.
I only have one knock on Dr. Cox, and that was that he hates the greatest actor of all time.
Oh, yeah. Hugh Jackman. God, I love that show so much.
It's really good.
But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream now. For those of you who watched this on Twitch, thank you very much. And for those who are going to watch us on YouTube, thank you very much. And we will see you guys next week. Goodbye.